Every once in a while, you stumble across a movie that just takes your breath away because of how high its quality is. These movies are hard to forget and will stay with you for the rest of your life. Welcome to the list of the undisputed top 10 best movies of all time ever in the history. Ever. Let's begin! Number 10. Epic movie. Upon release, this movie received harsh treatment from critics and was buried in negative reviews. But then again, you have to remember, movie critics are retards. This movie is legit hilarious. It features some of the best parodies in the history of motion pictures. Like this imitation of black actor Samuel L. Jackson.
I've had it with these X on this damn plane.
Doesn't that sound exactly like him? Plus, there's quite a lot of humor surrounding shit and genitals. How can anyone dislike that?
Nice.
Number 9. X-Men 3: The Last Stand. This movie gets a lot of hate for being the worst film in the X-Men franchise, but I think it's actually the best. I just love how the director isn't afraid to just murder every single character in the movie and thereby ruining any chance of direct sequels. I love how there's so many mutants all over the movie that you never get a chance to care about any of them before they move on. And you just gotta love how the climax feels like it takes place in the parking lot of an office building. Great film. Number 8. The Nutty Professor 2: The Clumps. In this absolutely ingenious film, Eddie Murphy returns in the role of Fat Scientist. Except this time we get to meet his entire fat family. It's 106 minutes of gut-busting laughter as you watch Eddie Murphy scream and yell and look fat. This film definitely deserves its spot on this list. Number 7. Jack and Jill. Now, Eddie Murphy might be hilarious playing several characters, but there is one actor who is much more qualified: Adam Sandler. In Jack and Jill, Adam Sandler is able to completely sink into the role of Jill, a woman. Never before have you seen a male actor so convincingly portray a girl. Outside of that, the movie's plot is absolutely breathtakingly emotional. Jack wants Al Pacino to play in a commercial, so he has his twin sister hook up with him. Wow, that is artistic. It was nothing short of scandalous that this movie didn't receive a nomination for Best Original Screenplay. Number 6. Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. Speaking of great stories, memorable dialogue, realistic-looking effects, and great acting, George Lucas' second Star Wars prequel delivers on all those fronts. Every single frame of the movie is like a beautiful composed painting. Look at that. There's nothing more to say than bravo. Number 5. Alice in Wonderland by Tim Burton. Did you ever watch the original Disney version of Alice in Wonderland and think, gosh, I really wish this had more swords and armies and war and shit? Well, I definitely have. Well, here you have it. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland is like the original, but without that fun and charming and colorful shit, and with more pale, creepy people, and more Lord of the Rings. Number 4. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Actually, for this movie, I'm not even gonna explain why it's on the list. It should be obvious for anyone why this is one of the best movies of all time. Number 3. Twilight Breaking Dawn. This film is inarguably the most touching love story of all time. It's about a girl in love with a vampire and has a child, and there's some werewolves. Anyways, it's beautiful. The story flows wonderfully, the plot is rich and complex, the characters are round and dynamic, but probably best of all, the effects. They are so fucking realistic looking at all times. Not a single second will go by where you don't believe with all your heart that there is a real wolf standing next to that girl. Number 2. The Transformers films. Now, I haven't seen these films, but I've heard that they're pretty good, so go check them out. And finally, number 1. Norbit. Norbit once again follows Eddie Murphy as he plays the hilarious role of thin, ugly cuck and his fat bitch wife. And you thought that might be hilarious enough, but Eddie Murphy also plays a racial stereotype of a Chinese man. Needless to say, it's super fucking funny. In fact, it's so fucking funny that you might die watching it. Just watch this clip and tell me that you didn't fucking collapse on the floor laughing till you shat yourself.
I can't keep Norbit off me.
Now that's some fucking funny shit right there. That's some real quality. Best movie of all time. 10 out of 10 for real.
Are you wearing bottoms? Of course I'm wearing bottoms.
Okay.
Now you might be wondering, why are there so many comedies on this list? Well, obviously that's because nobody wants to watch sad, depressing movies about real and boring shit. You know, like Schindler's List. Oh, and that reminds me, next week we're doing the worst movies of all time.